viewers, once again I am here uh, exposing another fraud and another uh, article full of deceit from the Ahmediyya cult, who are commonly known as the Qadiani in Pakistan and India, the country of their origin. Uh, Here we see in this article they have presented a translation from one of Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's statements from one of his books, which I will show a little later. Let's read the translation first. It is not possible to silence those people who seek to cover up the devoted services rendered by my father Mirza Ghulam Murtaza and my brother Mirza Ghulam Qadir. Mirza Ghulam Qadiani is addressing the British government and telling them about how loyal they have been to the East India Company. Extended over half a century, which are mentioned in government letters and in Sir Lepel Griffin's book Chiefs of the Punjab, and the service rendered in my writings extending over 18 years, and to create a misunderstanding in the minds of the British authorities and to raise a doubt concerning a family that has been loyal to the government and has wished it well. Some people are determined to convey to the government false allegations on account of religious differences or out of jealousy or spite or some personal motive. It is requested that the authorities should act with wisdom and caution after due investigation and attention towards a family whose loyalty and devotion have been well established and concerning whom high officials of the government have always expressed the views in their letters that its members are well-wishers and loyal servants of the British government, and which is a tree planted by itself. A tree planted by itself? Now, let's have a look at what Mirza Ghulam Qadiani wrote. Now, we go to the reference in question. Mirza Ghulam Qadiani writes, and let's get this correct from where he started. He starts from, this reference starts, it is not possible to silence those people. Right. Now we will have a look at that reference. It starts from here. ऐसे लोगों का मुंह बंद किया जाए. But the point in question is here. Mirza Ghulam ka, I will read it from there. इस बात का इलाज तो गैर मुमकिन है कि ऐसे लोगों का मुंह बंद किया जाए जो इख्तलाफ मजहबी की वजह से या नफसानी हसद और बुग़्ज़ और किसी ज़ाती गर्ज के सबब से झूठी मुखबरी पर कमर बस्ता हो जाते हैं. सिर्फ ये इल्तमास है कि सरकार दौलत मदार ऐसे ख़ानदान की निस्बत जिसको 50 बरस के मतवातर तजर्बा से एक वफादार जान निसार ख़ानदान साबित कर चुकी है और जिसकी निस्बत गवर्नमेंट आलिया के मोअज़्ज़ज़ हुकाम ने हमेशा मुस्तहकम राय से अपनी चिट्ठियात में ये गवाही दी है कि वो कदीम से सरकार अंग्रेज़ी के पक्के खैर खा खिदमत गुजार हैं. The gist of it is flattering the authorities and telling them how loyal they have been to them and how disloyal they have been to the country and religion that they claim to belong to, and how his whole family has been loyal for 50 years to the East India Company and the authorities there. And is basically mentioning how appreciation has been given by government officials in their letters on how loyal. Uh, uh, this family of Mirza Ghulam Qadiani has been to the East India Company and the authorities, and how disloyal this family has been to the nation that they belong to and the religion they belong to. Right, let's continue. Then he continues. इस खुद काश्ता पौधा की निस्बत नहायत हिज़्म और एहतियात और तहकीक और तवज्जो से काम ले. He's saying to the British, you see, hism, it's an interesting word, this one here. Hism. Is khudkashta poda. Khudkashta poda means self-cultivated. Self-cultivated by who? Mirza Ghulam Qadiani planted himself and then cultivated himself? No. He's talking about the British authorities, and before then, he's talking about for 50 years, East India Company. They cultivated, they grew this plant to cause dissension within the ranks of the Muslims in India and cause mischief and to divide. So he's saying here, is khud kashta poda, this plant that you have cultivated yourselves. He's talking to the British authorities. You have cultivated this plant. Which plant? Mirza Ghulam Qadiani and his cult. And I will demonstrate who he's talking about. In this letter, it's been they've attempted to. In this translation, if we go here, I will just show you. They have attempted to show that it doesn't mean that he's talking about himself and his cult. It should be clear from this message that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was using this expression, a tree planted by the government, concerning the service rendered by the members of his family and himself in the past to the British government that was ruling India at the time. It had nothing to do with his claim to be a prophet. They're saying that this letter has nothing to do with his claim to be a prophet. We will demonstrate that it does, and it does right from the beginning of the letter. This is how the Ahmediyya cult deceives people. And they have admitted here that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani has said in this letter, let's read it again. It should be clear from the passage that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was using this expression, a tree planted by the government, concerning the services rendered by the members of his family and himself in the past to the British government that was ruling India at the time. Now, they've admitted that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani and his family were those loyalists that were betraying their own nation and were loyal to the East India Company for what? For financial gain. No other reason, for financial gain. And from that pit of disgrace came Mirza Ghulam Qadiani. Now here he says, if we go to this one, is khud kashta poda ki nisbat nihayat hizm ehtiyat aur tahqiq aur tawajjuh se kaam le. He's saying to the British that this self-cultivated plant that you have cultivated, the British have cultivated, this self-cultivated plant, you should pay caution. And his another meaning, heedful of this investment that you have made in Mirza Ghulam Qadiani. Be heedful of this investment, meaning that the British government, which before was East India Company, made an investment in this family, and you should be heedful of that investment. And the end result of that investment, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani declaring prophethood, and with that attempting to help the authorities. Against what? Against the liberation movement that has started against those people that are wanting independence. This cultivated plant, meaning Mirza Ghulam Qadiani declaring prophethood and then trying to cause the Muslims to be subservient to the authorities and to go away from the notions of becoming free as a free nation, freeing themselves from the British Empire. He's saying that you should be heedful of the investment. Hism. Here's the word. खुद काश्ता पौधा की निस्बत नहायत हिज्म, heedful of this investment, or ehtiyat and caution, and tahqiq, investigate, and be attentive. Now, then he says, और अपने मातहत हुकाम को इशारा फरमाए, and you should advise those that are your subordinates कि वो भी इस खानदान की साबित शुदा वफादारी, that they should take into account this family, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's family's proven loyalty और इखलास का लिहाज रखकर, proven loyalty and servitude, मुझे और मेरी जमात को एक खास अनायत और मेहरबानी की नज़र से देखें. They should look at me and my congregation or cult, जमात, this cult that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani made, एक खास अनायत और मेहरबानी की नज़र से देखें. They should look at us anayat. They should look at us with meherbani, anayat. They should look at us with a particular, in a particular way, in which they should bestow things upon us. They should be helpful to us. हमारे खानदान ने सरकार अंग्रेजी की राह में अपने खून बहाए. Our family has shed blood for the British Empire, और जान देने से फर्क नहीं किया, and have not hesitated to give their lives, और ना अब फर्क है, nor do we hesitate now to give our lives. Now, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani was trying to convince the British authorities that they were so loyal, and that this plant, the British authorities and the authorities before them, the East India Company, had made great investment in this family. It was a family of traitors, and they should now look after them and protect them. Now, the Qadianis here have tried saying that this has got nothing to do with his prophet declaration of being a prophet. By the way, just to let you know, he claimed to be the second coming of Christ. So basically, he's telling the British that he is the second coming of Christ, which incidentally he didn't mention here. He didn't tell them. He also said that those that do not believe in him as being the second coming of Christ are the sons of whores, prostitutes, meaning they are bastards. I will make another video in which I will show you exactly where he wrote that, so that anyone that is listening, any Englishman that's listening, is under no doubt what Mirza Ghulam Qadiani thought of them. You see, this whole flattery and telling the British that he was extremely loyal, and he'd been extremely loyal to the East India Company and his forefathers, and for 18 years he'd been writing in the loyalty of the British and trying to convince people to be subservient to British rule and not to dream of independence. All this was to do what? To aid him in his cult. And he's telling the authorities that he is the fruit of all that investment. And now it's time for the British government to look after that fruit, to ensure that nobody plucks that fruit from the tree that they grew and they cultivated. Now let's go back to here, and so I can show you exactly what he's saying at the beginning. Yes, and his letters were whole lectures, essays, small books, whatever you would like to call them. So let's go back to the beginning, and I will show you exactly which one this is, and then I will show you the fraud that this cult does. Here we have it. Number 183. And let's see what he says at the beginning. चूंकि मुसलमानों का एक नया फिरका जिसका पेशवा इमाम और पीर ये रकम है. He's saying, due to the fact that I am a new imam and leader of a new sect from the Muslims. That's why he is writing to the authorities to introduce himself and his sect. Here, this is what he says here. So the new sect that he made was how? By declaring prophethood, declaring himself as the second coming of Christ, declaring himself as being the Messiah. That's what he was talking about. Now let's look at this. 183, as you can see. 183. Now this is the old print of Ishtaharat. Let's go to that's volume 3. Let's go to volume 3 of the new print of Ishtaharat. And we see volume 3 of Ishtaharat. Here we have it. Volume 3, Jild Som, Ishtaharat. Just to be sure that this 183, we will take it right to the top. There you go. Majmua Ishtaharat, Jild Som, Volume 3. Now the new print of Majmua Ishtaharat, Volume 3. Now on this one, we will see that volume 3 begins, instead of 183, 222. So now if anybody wants to go look for 183 in volume 3, they won't find it, because it's not there. It begins with 222 here. So I went to the new volume 2. Let me just show you. Here we go. Volume 2. The new volume 2. And I said, let's have a look at where it ends. So here we go. It ends on I will show you. It ends on 220. The other one starts at 222. I will research why that was taken out. Let's just check, just to make sure that to start at 220. No, actually that starts at 221. Let's have a look. Does it? We will go down. Yes, 221. There we go. So volume 2 ends at 220, as we can see, and volume 3 starts at 221, the new one. So then we will say, let's go to 183 here then, because obviously then 183 is here. And if we go to 183, we should be able to find the reference that they have in 183 in the old volume 3. Right? This is 187. Let's go to 183. It should be somewhere around here. We shall find it. You see, this is painstaking, but because the Ahmediyya are a cult, if you don't show everything categorically and completely, they will say that, no, you made it up. Here we go. 183. Aha. Now we see here in the new print, 183 is a different reference. This 183 is not the same as this 183. You see, this 183 is almost a book, and this 183 is a lot smaller. It's a page and a half. What's going on here? So now, when we raise the issue, the Qadiani members of this cult will go to what? The latest version that they printed, and they will look in there, and they will look at 183, and they will say, well, the Muslims are raising issues on this 183, and this doesn't exist here, because 183 is some other thing. It's something else that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani wrote, nothing to do with this one. So then they will go to their scholars, their murabbis, and they will say, oh, the Muslims, they make these things up, you see. It's all lies. Yes, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani never wrote that. And the cult members, the youngsters, the sheep will stay where they are. They won't get confused and lost, you see. But no, let us help the sheep. Let us show the sheep the actual face of this deceptive cult that uses threatening behavior with the weak and flattery with those that are in power to get what it wants, and does not and stoops to such depths of depravity in order to get what they want. Here we go. You see, 183 becomes 189. You see, this, let me show you again, this becomes this. 183 becomes 189. Just to show you the reference. Let's go down. I just wanted to show you how this Qadiani cult deceives people. Let's find the reference. I will scroll down. We will look and find the reference. Here we go. इस खुद काश्ता पौधा की निस्बत नहायत हिज़्म, एहतियात और तहकीक और तवज्जो से काम ले. So it is the same one as this one. Let's go to that page. इस खुद काश्ता पौधा की निस्बत नहायत हिज़्म और एहतियात और तहकीक और तवज्जो से काम ले. This is this. The only difference is that this one is 183 in volume 3, and in the new print it's become volume 2, and it's not 183. Oh, no, no, no. See, that would be too easy to find. We can't have that. You can't run a deception in a cult and have the references easily accessible. It becomes 189. So this is what I wanted to show people. This is the behavior of this cult. This is how they behave. If they were so truthful and honest, why would they have to resort to such deception as to keep their own young sheep blind to what Mirza Ghulam Qadiani wrote? And look how they switched the translation, which is a tree planted by itself. No, 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 no. That's not what he said. Is khud kashta poda ki nisbat nahayat hizm, the word that they didn't want to translate, is telling the government to be heedful of their investment that they have put into this plant. And now that the fruit is bearing the fruit, look after this fruit, which is Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's declaration of prophethood and his followers. He's telling them to look after them. The fruit of that tree, not which is a tree planted by itself. No, 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 no. He's saying which you planted, the government, the British government, and you invested. And be heedful of your investment, hism. He's saying you should proceed with the utmost hism. You should proceed with the utmost heedfulness of this investment that you have made. That's what he's saying. So my reply to the Ahmediyya is, pull the other one, mate. You've been caught out again. Such a deceitful cult, and look at the depths that they fall to, how they switch their books, how they switch their references, so that nobody could find their references, how they switch, how they deceive people. Ishtiharat volume 3, 183, here we have it. This is the old Ishtiharat. I will go over it one more time, just to show people the deception, what the Ahmediyya are doing with their books, how they are trying to deceive people. Here we go. Ishtiharat 183, volume 3. Ishtiharat volume 3, the new one, begins with 221. Oops, no 183 here. We have to go to volume 2. And it's not 183 there, it's 189. So I think the case has been proven against the Ahmediyya. Ahmediyya, the cult, is still deceiving people, still deceiving the British government. At the time they used flattery, and at the time the British Empire was looking at any way of holding on to the empire, and Mirza Ghulam Qadiani convinced them that through his declaration of prophethood he would silence the voices against the British, who are voicing against the rule of the British Empire and are wanting independence. So he convinced them that if they help him, and because all his family has been traitors to their own nation, that he will silence those that are wanting independence. So the British said, well, we've put some money into this family before, so let's use them again. And as far as the British were concerned, the Ahmediyya and Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's family was a very low level uh, in the hierarchy of or the pecking order of the traitors to India and the independence movement of for India and Pakistan. The independence movement, in the pecking order of the traitors to that movement, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's family were very low in the pecking order, you see. So the British didn't even pay them much attention, and they said, okay, you know, give him a few guards when he goes to deliver his sermons, and support him financially. Let's see what he does. And through flattery, Mirza Ghulam Qadiani convinced them that he'd do the job, but the job, as we all know, wasn't done. Mirza Ghulam Qadiani could not stop the independence movement. India gained its independence, and Pakistan gained its independence, and no matter what Mirza Ghulam Qadiani and his cult did, the British at the time realized this was a very bad investment, because now the British had somebody that was not only claiming that he was a new prophet and telling the Muslims to be loyal to the British Empire and to the British and not gain independence and stay subservient, but he was also saying to the British now that he is the Messiah, the second coming of Christ. And he was telling the British, which I will demonstrate in another video, that if you do not accept him as the second coming of Christ, the son of Mary, then the British are the sons of whores. They are bastards. That's what he was saying, which I will show you in another video. So now the British realized that this was not an investment they cared to maintain, and so they dumped Mirza Ghulam Qadiani like a bad weight. And to this day, the Qadianis, with their deceitfulness, convince the British authorities, the German authorities, the Canadian authorities that they are under oppression in Pakistan, so in order to gain political asylum. And as all the Pakistanis know, and soon the British will know, and the Christians of Pakistan know, and the Christians of India know, and the Christians from Pakistani origin that are living in Germany and Malaysia and Canada and Britain and France have come to know now and will testify under oath. I will have you know. Those Christians have come to know that this cult is still deceiving and lying to the West, and in order to gain political asylum for their members, their cult members. We will be making a video very soon on that with proofs from members that have left this cult, whistleblowers, people that were in the hierarchy of the Ahmediyya cult and have left the cult, and they will show how the Ahmediyya uses people for political asylum, how the Ahmediyya sets up marriages with women from the Ahmediyya cult, and how then the Ahmediyya breaks up the marriages and then takes the children from the parents. All that we will reveal in our upcoming videos. So please subscribe and like the video, and please share the video. Get the message out there. Let the authorities know the real face of that most deceitful of slogans of love for all, hatred for none.